You are watching another great week on Wicklow County Matters with me, Emily O'Donnell. First up on this week's show, I catch up with artist Philip Moran, who is going to do a very special charcoal drawing of none other than the Wicklow legend that is Katie Taylor. Then in part 2, I speak to a member of the Bray Refugee Solidarity Group about the refugee crisis that exists in Europe. And we are finishing up with comedian and promoter Adam Burke, who's going to tell us all where we can get a laugh over the next few months. First up on this week's show, we are going along to speak to artist Philip Moran about his recent works, plans for the future and the medium that he prefers to use.
I work as an artist and as an illustrator, designer, and I've been doing it pretty much all my life. I went to art college about over 10 years ago, and then I went back to study visual communication in NCAD, and so I've learned a multiple amount of skills, and I'm kind of interested in many different sort of facets of art, but I kind of focus on portraiture. That's sort of my specialty. Well, I do illustration, but I've also had an exhibition where I wanted to show some portraits and also showcase a sort of style I developed. I came upon the idea of having a show about free speech. It was kind of become quite pertinent, I thought. I planned the show for last February, and it was just only a few weeks after the Charlie Hebdo massacre. So it was kind of the timing was quite odd, actually. I wanted to do one more show with using this Quink style, which I developed, which is kind of layering ink over each other. And I wanted to do it, I was inspired at first, thinking initially of the 1916 Rising. As I kind of went along and thought about it, I was considering then just do portraits of Irish people, and Irish people and their relationship with Ireland and being Irish, and not just have a sort of a parade of, you know, these are wonderful people like writers, or for example, it's like something that would just be a Bord Fáilte promotion, but Irish people from all sorts of backgrounds and all ages, in a way, just in a sense like the free speech. They wouldn't be, some people would be like very famous, and some people would be less remarkable. And I haven't really decided who's going to be in it and who isn't. I'm been working on loads of different portraits, and I've worked on different people. And in the show, what I will have is I'll have the portrait, and then beneath it a quote from them talking about their sense of Irishness or their relationship to Ireland. It's all about the relationship to Ireland. I mean, some people make their whole life's work is just about how they feel about Ireland. I mean, someone like Patrick Kavanagh, you learn about his poetry in school, and you learned just how he kind of did a 180, went from hating Ireland to loving it, really. Liam Neeson talked about how he felt New York was home, but he still kind of misses the old sod sometimes. So it's interesting, but it's not just obviously the country; it's also the people, and so it's a question of really people thinking about what it is to be Irish and who the Irish people really are. To show you how it's the different stages of how it's done, here are a few examples. This is Sean O'Casey, and so you can see. Sometimes I would do a sort of a quick sketch in pencil, just when I'm working from a photograph, just to sort of get a kind of idea of, just to mark everything out, and then I go over with ink. Here's another one with Eamon Coughlin. Then I would add the oil pastel to sort of create highlighted areas, and add water, and this would look like after a first pass, or after you've applied first layer. This is Calvin Kilban. And he's interesting because even though he was born in England and grew up in England, he always wanted to play for Ireland. His parents were Irish, and he actually had when he was very young, he was talking to his manager, and his manager said, "Well, you can play for England," and he said, "No, I'm Irish." So that was interesting, that's a kind of, even you can be Irish even if you're not born in Ireland. Then this would be maybe after a second layer. This is Colin Cooper. I thought this was a very interesting kind of photograph picture. Here's William Butler Yeats. And so you can see I've added another black layer. I haven't applied the water again to it yet. So you never really know how many times it takes before it's finished. It's interesting because when I'm drawing somebody, it's like an actor, you try to get inside their head. And even though, you're just working from a photograph, it's almost like what the old native tribes in the Amazon or primitive people would have believed, that the photograph actually takes a bit of their soul. I try to then, maybe making that assumption, I try to take the bit of the soul from the photograph and put it into the picture. Because you kind of, you spend hours, sometimes days, sometimes even, I spend months and years sometimes on portraits. And you try to, you develop a relationship with the person. You're kind of thinking, who is this person? What would they like?
Now we are bringing you a very special artistic demonstration by Philip, as he's now going to draw Wicklow's most iconic woman, sporting hero Katie Taylor.
Both these pictures are very good. You have Katie Taylor here, and this is a kind of very classy picture, and it's a good shot of her face. It's kind of black and white, it's very high contrast, so it would be kind of ideal for what I do. But I like this one because she has a very natural expression, and I always try to find pictures of people where they feel they're more in repose. I try to draw as quickly as I can, and so I don't think about it too much, consciously think about it too much. I try to be make it as natural as possible. So if I get try to get the head right. Another thing to bear in mind as well is that features on your face tend to mirror each other, and you have, for instance, the nostrils, the eyes, the shape of the eyes and the shape of the mouth all tend to correspond, and you can sort of see that Katie has a very sort of quite angular but a narrow kind of features. So when you're drawing this way, you always try to reassess, make sure that your positioning is correct. You're always trying to work out relationships between each of the features. For instance, here there's the nose. It's kind of, the definition just disappears a bit, and so the mouth. Have I got that right or wrong? See, this is where I talk about the subtlety, where something can actually just be a tiny bit over, and it makes all the difference in how the face looks. Hair is something as well that can be kind of tedious because you don't want to spend too long on it, but you also want to make it look real as well. So here I've got the face mostly there, and let's see now. You always try to spend more time looking at what you're drawing than the page that you're drawing on. So you try to coordinate. You try to get your hand-to-eye coordination correct, so that when your eye is moving over the page or over what you're drawing, that your hand will correspond. Okay, so with this now, I can start shading it in, and I have this tool that can help. You can see that the eyes are so important here. She's got a very genuine smile. You can tell that from the wrinkles under her eyes. It's always the eyes that sort of give away if a smile is genuine or not, more so than anything else. When I'm working on a sketch, I always try to get it where if I was just about to finish, that I would be happy by finishing, because you're just always trying to you're trying to build and build and build, but you're not just working on one tiny segment and then working onto another segment. I'm always just trying to constantly build it up, and then if I had to leave it there, I'd be fairly happy with what I had, because sometimes the simplest sketches can actually work to be the most effective pictures.
Fantastic work there from Philip Moore, and great to see the legend that is Katie Taylor being brought to life by Philip. And if you do want to find out more about Philip or his work, don't forget to check out philipmoran.ie and join us again in part 2 of Wicklow County Matters, where we're bringing you more great stories.